I'll hand over to Darren for his presentation.
Thanks, Murray. Good evening, everybody. It's good to be here and see some familiar faces in the audience. I'm going to run through about a 10 to 15 minute presentation about what the facilities rebuild program is, and most of it's going to happen up there, and I need to control this machine down here, so I'll be doing a bit of that. What is the facilities rebuild program? It's essentially the council's opportunity to run an earthquake repair program, and it runs it across every council facility that we own and insure. It's about 1,600 facilities in total. It's a large portfolio, and it ranges from everything from small toilet blocks through to libraries through to the entire social housing fleet that the organisation runs. Early on in the piece of the facilities rebuild program for the last 18 months or thereabouts, we've been working through all of those buildings to ensure that they have had a detailed engineering evaluation, or a DEE. What that means to most people these days is that gives us a percentage of the new building code. So for the last wee while, the council's focus has been on making sure that all of our buildings, whether they're staff buildings or public buildings, are fit to occupy. And we've been able to understand that by engineers bringing us back a percentage of the new building standard. In other words, what's its seismic strength? That's been the focus for the last wee while. Council has a policy whereby buildings less than 34% of the new building standard are deemed to be earthquake prone, and the council's determined that we will close those buildings. So you've probably seen that reflected.
Sorry, could you speak
up a bit?
You're a little quiet.
I can use
Sorry.
How loud is that? Okay, so yeah, we've been working through doing a detailed engineering evaluation, giving us a percentage of building code and applying that to our buildings. And we've closed quite a few buildings in the last 18 months as a result of them not meeting the building code. That's been a facilities rebuild program priority, and that's given us some interesting challenges to deal with. Facilities rebuild program also gives us a great opportunity as an organisation to understand in an organisational fashion what it is we'll be doing with these buildings moving forward. So it provides us with a great decision-making framework to understand the future needs of Christchurch. And that provides a long-term view. So that in the back of the earthquakes going forward, we'll be looking in some cases to strategies over the next 20 to 25 years to determine the sort of buildings we need to suit Christchurch. This is just some photographic examples of the sort of things we're dealing with. So there are things in here contained from, you'll recognise the old Edmonds Band Rotundas, so we've got a lot of heritage in our program. We've got sport and recreational facilities, community centres, Carroll Stadium featured in the middle there. Lots and lots of toilet blocks, so we've got a couple of hundred toilet blocks throughout Christchurch on all the parks around town. And the other thing we have 2,649 social housing units, so we've got a massive portfolio of social housing units as well. So it's a big opportunity across Christchurch to have a look at what future needs. Some of the challenges at the moment, so I talked about the engineering evaluation that the team's been working on. It's really the size and the scale of the program. So in total we've got 1,600 buildings, about 1,000 what we call commercial or public use buildings, and around about 600 buildings in the social housing space. So it's a massive program, and we can't do everything at once. We've had to prioritise a program, and we're looking at the moment that this is being a 5-year end-to-end program to get everything through the process and out the other end for repeal or rebuild. It's a large project. It's using a lot of resource, both in the engineering market and as well as the team here tonight, the project managers, contractors. So we're competing in that space in Christchurch in the rebuild scene. So resourcing is one of our challenges. And I guess the other one that probably a lot of you are familiar with, certainly myself, if you've lived in Christchurch through this period, is that all of this has been dealt with in the context of an insurance process, whether that be EQC for our social housing complexes. And just to note, we're not getting any special treatment with EQC. Each of those 2,500 social housing units require scope settlement and agreement with EQC. And again, in the rest of the program, whether it be libraries or sports and recreation centres, we still have to negotiate with our insurers on the scope of damage, the cost of damage, and agreement on what a repair methodology might be. So we're having to put a lot of buildings through that insurance pipe, and at the moment it's proven to be quite a challenge. Just wanted to talk a little bit about decision making. So what do we do when we're gathering information about our buildings, how broken they are, perhaps what our insurance returns may be in future years? We're going to be looking to a lot of our existing strategies that we have within the organisation that have been developed and are being redrafted at the moment. We have a very good set of policies and strategies, We have the Libraries 2025 strategy, which talks about future needs of libraries throughout the city. We've got aquatic facility strategies, we've got a social housing strategy. So we're looking to some of those documents to help inform decisions about what we do and what we need to provide by way of facilities in Christchurch. And the main thing to note here is that all of the information we gather ultimately ends up going through a democratic process and goes via Yani's committee and on to council for decision making. So it's important to note that all the decisions about significant rebuild or significant repair will end up going through a decision making process and ultimately being made by the elected members of council. This, I'm not sure how it translates, is really trying to just demonstrate what I've talked about, whereby we capture some of the quantifiable, the damage and the cost information up front through whether it be our libraries and sports and recreational community engagement. Those people go and talk to members like yourself of the community and key users to understand future needs. That goes in parallel with an insurance negotiation process, so that we end up having, if you like, the desired state, that whether it's a repair or a rebuild. And those decisions ultimately, as I say, come through via a staff recommendation to a committee or through to full council for decision making. This is trying to, I guess, illustrate again sort of the process that we have to go through. What it's trying to say is we've got to go through that, and then once we get a decision out of council, we still have to go through a typical building consenting decision-making process, detailed engineering designs, consents, and then out to market and get somebody to build that. So if you imagine that process having to work through several hundred times in any given year, it's a busy place to be. Just want to touch on, in light of all the challenges and decisions we're making at the moment, some of the key successes, I guess, or successes we've had through the last 18 months across the city in terms of outputs of the facilities rebuild program. Curator's House, this was a good one. It was a great heritage building, closed as a result of the earthquakes. We were able to get that building restored and reinstated, and it reopened in late last year, just in time for the summer tourism season. So that was a great result for council and for hospitality in Christchurch. This is another great one. This is a temporary facility, the Central Library on Peterborough Street. We were able to get that open in December 2011, and that's been a great success for libraries. That's a good example of the sort of thing we'd do through facilities rebuild to provide a temporary transitional facility until we get to an end state, a decision-making, long-term decision. Another one here, this was a heritage building. Again, another one of the 50 or 60 odd heritage buildings that council owns, the Rolleston YHA. A lot of good work went in here, strengthening and reinstatement and earthquake damage, quite damaged post-earthquake. That got open again in time late last year for the tourism season. It was great news there. We were able to get backpackers coming back through again into the city. And just another one here to touch on, the Botanic Gardens paddling pool. Again, just indicates the sort of buildings and facilities we're dealing with in the program. That had suffered some earthquake damage and required some minor works to get it open. And good news for anyone with a small person in their house, we were able to get the paddling pool open again for a busy bustling summer season. So I personally was delighted about that. Just having a look at the east, and I know that's a broad brush to talk about here. Things that have happened, I guess, on this side of town. Another paddling pool, the new Brighton Whale pool, was promoted in the top 30 that we've been looking at. There's something that would be great to try and get open for summer, and the good news was we were able to. We got the pool open for summer, and it was just a real good shot in the arm for residents of New Brighton. It's a good factor. Here's another great one, sport and recreation facility. Facilities rebuild team managed to get on and do some strengthening work and minor upgrades to Cal Stadium to enable that to reopen towards the end of last year. That also serves as a civil defence welfare centre as well. So that was a great result. Here's another one. Another example of the sort of the complexity of the program, this was the Poseidon Cafe, well now it's called the Beach Bar out in Sumner. That's a council-owned facility that was closed, and we've been able to get that fixed again and open for the summer season. And just another one here, this is another good news, expected to open within the next month or two, is the Avebury House just round in Richmond, and that's a heritage building which has gone through quite straightforward through the insurance process, and we were able to get out the other end and fixed. So some good news coming up as well. Just touching on in terms of what's next in the east coming through the facilities rebuild program and things to keep an eye on. There's some more good news coming up soon. We're expecting July or August to have the Linwood Community Arts Centre reopened. It'll be a great facility to have back for that part of town. Another good news story here, South Brighton Community Centre. We've got a transitional facility happening down there